Who do you smell like? That question makes me think about a situation I was in a few years ago when I was at a restaurant with some other friends of mine, and we were sitting around eating, and the young waitress came in and she said, "Who's wearing that Old Spice cologne?" And I thought to myself, well, it's probably me, and I was about to volunteer it until she said, "It smells just like my grandfather." And I stopped in my tracks. I decided that I was not going to volunteer, that I was the one that smelled like her grandfather. But it made me think about the fragrance that I give off. We live in a house with dogs, and so often when I come home from work, they've been running around in and out in the mud, and the carpet and the house can smell a little bit like dog. And one of the things that I've learned to do is I will take a candle and I will light the candle to give the house a new fragrance. It develops a new aroma because I light the candle. It has a new scent. If you're encouraged by the content, I would ask you to subscribe to the channel, click the like button, and share this with somebody right now. Thank you. In 2 Corinthians chapter 2, Paul writes about this, that we are the fragrance of Christ among those who are being saved and among those who are perishing. That should be a challenge for us to think about, the fact that when we accept Jesus Christ as our Savior, that Jesus Christ is the one that lights us. And as a result of that, just like in this candle, that the scents are activated because of the light, the fire that's within it. And the same thing should be true of us in Jesus Christ, that because we walk with Jesus Christ, because we love Him, because we are around Him, that we will take on that fragrance of Christ. We have a great opportunity as children of God to be the fragrance of Christ. Paul writes there that we're not adequate in ourselves. And sometimes in our own life, we may seem a little bit like our house after the dogs have been here all day, where the fragrance is not quite what it should be. But God has a way of changing that fragrance and giving us the fragrance of Christ as we walk with Him, as we seek Him, as we wait on Him. That aroma changes. We don't smell like dogs. We don't smell like a grandfather, but we can begin to smell like Jesus Christ. You know, that's so important in our world today. We live in a dark world where the fragrance you see in the news and you hear about all that people struggle with. The fragrance in this world is not always good. Sometimes, quite frankly, it smells very bad. And into that, we are injected. Into that, we live our lives. And as we, as I said, walk with Christ, as we love Him, we begin to smell like Jesus Christ. What an incredible privilege that is as we go into the world, that not by just what we say, but by our lives, by our countenance, by our attitude, that people will look at us and not think, well, there's a really neat person, or there's somebody who knows what they want to do, but they begin to think there's something unusual about them, and they're attracted to it. They may not realize that it's the fragrance of Christ, but it is. You know, I just want to encourage you in your life, if you are a follower of Jesus Christ, ask yourself the question, who do I smell like? You have the incredible opportunity of smelling, giving off the fragrance of Jesus Christ as you walk with Him. You know, I encourage you in the comments section, maybe you know of somebody in your life, in your church, that you look at and you think they are the fragrance of Christ. They smell like Jesus Christ. Put in the comments section below what it is about them that gives off that fragrance, so that we can all be encouraged by those examples. There's no greater joy in life that we can have than being that light. We need to be lights in the world. We need to be that fragrance that is given off of Christ to give other people hope. For people to see that God can change a life and a heart. That in our world, when we think about politics and all the ways that we can change and help the people around us in our society, I tell you, the one answer that stands clear is that we need to present Christ, that we need to be that fragrance of Christ. That's what changes the heart. God has the ability to change the heart and the life. And it's through Jesus Christ that we can begin to encourage and help people, and through that to help our society. But it starts with us living that life before them, of them beginning to see God's power that's in us, that God has enlightened our life, that God has activated the fragrances of Jesus Christ in our life, and through that, that people will trust in Him. As you go through this week, I encourage you to think about what fragrance you are giving off, and to begin to pray and say, Lord, as Paul wrote, I pray that I would be a fragrance of Christ among those who are being saved and among those who are perishing.